Hello and welcome to the channel. Today we will talk about a 2014 movie called Cashback. The movie begins and we see Hitler meets a behavior coach named Koppel. Hitler describes to Koppel that he is not properly greeted anymore and asks for any alternative to the salute. In the next scene we see Hitler wakes up in the park where his former wartime bunker once stood. As he wanders, disoriented, through the city, he interprets modern situations and things from a wartime perspective. Three kids finds him and asks him if whether he is okay. Hitler looks at them and think about them as the future of the nation. He asks them about Gerhard State. Meanwhile a reporter named Fabian Sawatzki records the kids. Hitler is also captured in the footage. Hitler picks up his cap and heads to the Führer bunker. He gets astonished to see the new technologies. Hitler thinks that people have gone mad. He questions himself if whether he has gone into the state of coma or whether he missed a victory. To inquire about the situation, he asks people about the year and location, but everyone assumes he is an actor impersonating Hitler and they start taking photos with him. Later Hitler goes to ask directions to the Reich Chancellery to a German-speaking woman, but the woman gets afraid of him and pepper sprays him. Hitler, while trembling, arrives at a newspaper kiosk and reading that it is 2014. He becomes dizzy and faints. In the next scene we see a TV network named My TV CEO praises Mr. Sessenbrick for his excellent job as the deputy head, but he doesn't appoint him as the MD of the network. He instead announces Miss Katia Bellini as the MD. Christopher gets disappointed because he expected himself to become the MD. Later Sessenbrick comes to his office and busts his anger at struggling filmmaker Fabian Sawatzki. He tries to convince his boss, but Sessenbrick was not ready to listen to him and he is fired and thrown out of the office by the guards. Meanwhile Hitler wakes up in the news shop. He asks the shopkeeper about the date and the shopkeeper says the same date which was written in the newspaper. Hitler gets confused on hearing that, and asks if whether he kidnapped him or if he is a spy and trying to play tricks on him. He adds if he is enemy spy, he will shoot him at the moment. The shopkeeper doesn't take him seriously and considers him as an actor who is playing the role of Hitler. Confused by the words of Hitler, he hands him a chocolate. Hitler first sniffs the chocolate and asks the owner if there were shortages of breads in the country. The shopkeeper then asks Hitler that they are making a documentary on Hitler and if whether he wants to be a part of it. Hitler doesn't say anything. Hitler then asks him for a newspaper, but the shopkeeper gives him a Turkish newspaper, so he tells him to bring German newspaper. After reading the newspaper, he assumes that they didn't won war. Now Germany was in hands of a clumsy woman, with the charisma of wet noodles. He observes that after the war, industrialization caused terrible devastation to land, air, soil and people. He gets unhappy to see Poland still exist and that too on German land. Scene shift to Sawatzki. He watches the documentary, which he filmed earlier in the morning. His mother observes Hitler in the background. Sawatzki begins searching for him in hopes of getting his job back. Later, shopkeeper tells Hitler to wash his cloth as they were smelling, so Hitler goes to the laundry shop. He opens his underwear and gives it to clean it, due to which the shopkeeper rejects to wash his clothes, so he goes to another shop. The woman accepts to wash his clothes. Hitler demands for some other clothes and comes out of the store wearing casuals. Outside the newspaper store, Hitler meets with Sawatzki. Sawatzki proposes to travel across Germany with Hitler and film him for YouTube. Hitler agrees. Fabian takes some cash and his mother's car and the two leave together. They arrive at a hotel. Hitler gets astonished to see a television. Traveling from the North Sea coast to Bavaria, Sawatzki films Hitler interacting with ordinary Germans. The discontent among the people reminded him of the 1930. During his interview he also finds that immigrants were unhappy and believes mixing race doesn't work. While playing with a dog, the dog bites Hitler, so Hitler shoots the dog. Sawatzki scolds him for killing the dog. Hitler calls him soft. Eventually they run out of money. Sawatzki calls his boss to transfer him some money, but his boss cuts the call. So Hitler decides to draw a portrait of people in order to earn money. Hitler makes portrait of people in a comical way. People do seem to like the portrait and give him money. After gaining some money, the two continue their trip. When a man tells Hitler that he will never follow him, Hitler demands his name and address, saying that it's for the first wave of arrests. The man responds that he isn't worried. Hitler and Sawatzki then return to Berlin where Sawatzki meets Sessenbrick. Sawatzki shows him Hitler clips. Sessenbrick gets impressed when he sees the views the videos have gathered, so Sessenbrick meets Hitler. He finds Hitler to be a lunatic and tells him to get out of the offices, but Hitler goes to meet the MD Ketja. He asks her to save Germany together. Ketja hires Hitler for a show. Sessenbrick decides to use Hitler in one of MyTV's live comedy show. He wants to create trouble for the new MD because he didn't get appointed for that position by making Hitler say racism jokes on immigrant and throw Hitler out of the show. Before the show, Hitler learns about the internet and uses the web to prepare his return to politics. Hitler waits a moment to start his performance so that crowd becomes silent. One of the editor holds the lines which the Hitler was to say, but Hitler breaks the silence and says that he won't read the line as the jokes were on immigrant. He says the television are the ingenuity of the human being, but what is shown on the television is just complete trash. He talks about poverty, unemployment, and says that he will fight off the TV until we overcome the abyss. The show becomes a hit. Witzigmann, the host, and Sessenbrick gets jealous of Hitler gaining popularity in his show. Ketji then asks Sessenbrick to cast Hitler in every show. Sessenbrick plans to kick Hitler and create trouble for Ketja failed, so he gets upset. In the next scene we see Hitler is invited to various talk shows and meets with several influential peoples and political leaders. One day, District Attorney with a police officer arrives at the TV studio. He tells that they are here over a complaint of violation of hate laws, and an anonymous person filed the complaint. Ketja asks him what they can do on this matter. Sessenbrick quickly replies with, "Cancel the show," but the attorney tells that they can continue the show. Sessenbrick gives a fake smile. At the next scene, Kromier hands out an invoice for the dead dog that Hitler killed. Later he also discovers the video during a TV show with Hitler. Sessenbrick broadcasts the footage of Hitler killing the dogs. On seeing the video, Hitler gets angry and says that he will do the same to the host and will turn the TV studio into a parking lot for tanks. Due to this, Ketja is fired. Hitler image gets ruined, but Sawatzki is promoted to station chief. Hitler starts living in Fabian's house. He starts writing book with the help of Bellini and Sawatzki. Hitler publishes an autobiographical book about his new life in the 21st century, titled Look Who's Back, and it becomes a bestseller. With the help of Facebook he also hires troops. Scene then shift to 3 months later and we see MyTV network was going through a terrible loss. Sessenbrick believed that Witzigmann show will get them back on track, but later finds out that he quit the show. One of the MyTV employee then tells to get Hitler back on the show, discussing how hit his book was. Sessenbrick then starts finding Hitler. He finds Fabian at a site where Fabian was working on the film adaptation of the new Hitler book. Sessenbrick tells Fabian that he will increase the budget of the film by $1 million if he lets him broadcast the film. Later at night outside the film studio, Hitler is beaten by 2 neo-Nazis who believe him to be a fraudulent impersonator mocking their beliefs. Hitler is hospitalized, but the news of his beating generates sympathy and he returns to high standing with the German people. While Hitler is recovering, Sawatzki reviews his old footage and discovers a ball of energy in the background before Hitler first appeared. Returning to the site, he finds burnt leaves and also finds that it used to be Hitler's bunker. With horror, he realizes that the Hitler he encountered was the real person all along. He rushes to the hospital to confront Hitler, but finds only Ketja, who says Hitler is at the movie studio. Fabian quickly rushes to the film studio and confront Hitler and says that he is real Hitler, to which Hitler says that he never claimed to be anyone else, pointing a gun at Hitler. Fabian takes him to rooftop. Fabian says that he is a monster. Hitler replies that he was elected by the German people, and if he is a monster, then so is everyone who voted for him, and also says that history repeats itself. Fabian then shoots, and watches Hitler falls to his death. Suddenly Hitler reappears behind Fabian Sawatzki, claiming he cannot be killed, as he is a part of every German. Later this entire scene is revealed to be a part of the film, and Sawatzki is a body double wearing a silicone mask. The real Sawatzki has been committed to a mental hospital following his previous outburst that Hitler still lives. At the ending scene we see Ketja and Hitler were signing autograph and he was more popular. He gets
Thank
hope
you
that
for
Germany
watching.
may be ready
Please
for his
don't
return
forget
to
to
like
like
and subscribe. The film ends with Hitler's voiceover saying, "I can work with this."
お前はもう